let me introduce you to someone that is very, very special to me. This is Miss Archie Rimley, and she was my first grade teacher. She is now currently 103 years old. And in this picture, guess what she's doing? Voting. She voted last week. This was on the front page of the Malvern Daily Record. In my opinion, it should have been on the front page of the state newspaper because that's history. Do you not think so? Why is that history?
Yeah.
She's 103. Do you know when? I'm gonna show you some things. This is a picture of her. Would you turn the light on for me, please? This is a picture of that we took together at our 100th birthday party. And she was my first grade teacher. She is so amazing. Let me read this story to you that was in the local newspaper. It says, Archie Rimley cast her vote. This was last Thursday. It says, while thousands of registered voters in Hot Spring County have taken advantage of early voting this week, lifelong county voter Archie Rimley continued her tradition. Rimley, who is now 103 years old, has been a registered voter since the age of 21. She was born June 25th, 1917. And so she's been a registered voter for 70 years. 70 years. My dad is just barely 70. So she's been voting for as long as my dad's been living. And she has voted since 1940. It says she's been a registered voter in Hot Spring County for 70 years since 1949. And she is the proud mom of 2 daughters and 1 son. One of her daughters actually is a retired English teacher. But today we talk about voting. And why do we talk about voting today?
Today's election day.
Today's election day. What does voting mean?
Means like to elect somebody as a president.
Well, do we just elect presidents?
No, I said or anything or any person like that. Like Senate representative.
Senate, mayor. Okay. When do you get the privilege to vote?
When you're 18.
When you're 18. How long do you have that privilege?
Forever.
Until you pass away. Well, that's when you lose the right to vote. It's another way you can lose the right to vote. What's another way you can lose the right to vote?
A felon.
A felon. What is a felon?
Somebody that's been
A
convicted of a
crime.
crime.
That should be a crime.
And so if you go to jail, then what?
You can't lose your...
You lose your right to vote. It's been years and years that some people have not been able to vote. Well, Miss Rimley was born in 1917. Women didn't get the right to vote until 1920. So when she was born, the right to vote was not even part of what she could do. A lot of people, African American people, actually didn't get the right to vote freely until 1965. You know what happened in 1965? Voting Rights Act. The Voting Rights Act of 1965. Because what happened was a lot of people tried to vote, people of color tried to vote, and several things happened. One was sometimes they were given a poll tax. You know what a poll tax is? What's a poll tax? You have any idea?
A tax from the poll.
Yeah, a tax at the poll. It was actually that you had to pay to vote. And so if you were barely making it, do you think you're going to spend your last dollar or and a quarter or 50 cents on voting? No. So then some people started giving people money to vote. And so they came up with something else. They came up with a poll test. You know what a poll test is?
Test for the polls.
Test at the polls. And so here could be one of the questions. Name the last 17 presidents.
That's a lot of presidents.
Yeah. I'm just giving you a for example question. Or recite the Constitution. Those were, what do you call when you do things like that? It's unreasonable, right? Yeah. The word means not. Yeah, it's not reasonable to ask someone to do that just to vote. And then they would come up with another thing. They'd have a jar. And the jar would be sitting there and it would be full of marbles. And it's like, how many marbles are in there? If you can tell how many marbles are in there, you can vote. Oh, I don't know. It's 150. Nope, that's 147. You can't vote. That's unreasonable. Today, as we start, I thought this would be such a great way to incorporate the book that I'm going to introduce tomorrow. I'm still not going to tell you what that book is. I want the suspense to build up. But in preparation for that, we are going to read Lillian's Right to Vote. And it is about a lady and her journey into voting. And I am so thankful that I am part of a generation that can actually vote. Remember, you only lose your right to vote if you do what? If you're a felon. And so you do not want to get in trouble, but so that you will not lose that. It's exactly. It is a privilege. Thank you. It is a privilege to be able to do that. Miss Archie Reed, my first grade teacher, just voted for the 70th time. That's history. Now today we're going to read a book about someone else who makes history.